I get to heaven, I wonder how it will be. Glorious wonder amidst the glassy sea. Oh, to see my Savior and the look upon his face. When I proclaim I'm here because of your grace, I wanna go to heaven, 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 heaven. I wanna go to heaven, 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 heaven. Yeah, behold, I make all things new. Faithful few enter into
Good evening, everyone, especially to the boys and girls. This is your evening to talk. And for those who have not been following us, this is the SEC Children's Mental Week program that is co-hosted by the Counseling Department and the Children's Ministries. And I have my co-host, Judy Clements, who will open for us in prayer. Hi, Auntie Judy.
Good evening.
Auntie Judy.
I think I was muted. Let me start again. Thank you, Auntie Tembi. Good evening to you. Good evening, boys and girls, and good evening, mums and dads, and all grown-ups who are watching. Shall we bow our heads for prayer? Lord Jesus, we just want to thank you, Lord, for sparing our lives and bringing us through another day. And as we come to the fourth day in this special program on children's mental health, Father God, I pray that you will protect our children. I pray that you'll protect the parents and guardians who watch over them. I pray that this week they will learn a great deal about how important it is to take care of their minds and how important it is that they recognize when others might not be so well. I pray, Father God, for Auntie Hannah and Auntie Sharon, who's bringing this special program this evening, and that the children will appreciate and learn and feel supported. Be with us here. Hasten the footsteps of those still to come. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you for the prayer, Auntie Judy. We have Auntie Hannah and Auntie Sharon today doing our program. I'm just going to quickly introduce them. They are both counselors at Cornerstone Counseling Service. And they will be doing the program for us tonight on trauma, because they're both trauma specialists. Shall I hand over to you two?
Hey, thank you so much, Auntie Tembi. Hi, children, are you all there? Are you there, children? Because I can't see any of you, and you remember I'm quite shy, so I need the children to be here so I can start waving to you. So can I see any children?
Hello.
That's right.
Hello.
Hello. Hi. I like all of you. Come up. That's right. Hello. What's your name?
Milka.
Nice to meet you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Brilliant. Well done for showing your face and talking to me. I hope the rest of you. Oh, hi. I see another person coming. Hi. It's so good to see all of you. Welcome, welcome today. I'm going to share my screen. But before I share my screen, I just wanted to ask all of you, how have you been feeling today?
I want syrup. Can you make me some syrup?
How have you been feeling today? I can't see anyone.
Good.
You've been feeling good today. Brilliant. Alex, I don't want to say your name, but Alex, how are you?
I'm fine.
Brilliant, brilliant. It's so good to see you guys here today. So I'm going to share my screen, and I'll be presenting with Auntie Sharon today. Can you all see Auntie Sharon as well?
Hello.
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 Hi.
Hi. Lovely to see all of you.
Okay. So before we start, I'm going to show us one of my favorite Bible texts around, okay? Isaiah 10. Does anyone mind reading it for me? Children, can anyone read it for me? I can
I'll
see.
read it.
Thank you very much.
So don't worry because I am with you. Don't be afraid because I am your God. I will make you strong and I will help you. I will support you with your right hand that saves you.
Brilliant. Do you know what that means? Does anyone know what that means?
when God guides you.
When God guides you, that's right. When God guides you and he's always there with you. So what he's telling us here is basically, you don't have to worry about anything that happens, okay? Anything that happens, he's saying, I am with you. You don't have to be afraid of anything because he is our God. He's just saying that to us. And he's saying in situations or anything that happens, he will make us strong and he will help us and make sure we're supported, okay? This is all that God is saying in Isaiah 41, okay? So I asked you before how you all felt today. And you said good. But I want to ask, is good a feeling? Some of you said good. Is good a feeling?
Yeah.
Good is a feeling. I didn't know that good was a feeling. I thought good was more a way of saying something is okay or something went well. If you were to look at this and see all the feelings on there, can you see all the feelings? Can you see them?
Yeah.
Yeah. If there, could you use this to describe something that I know good is, you've already said good, but something that feels more real. So just looking through it, I could say right now, I am feeling a bit brave because I'm speaking to everyone. I'm feeling a bit silly because I want to do some silly dances and some silly jumping around. And I'm feeling a bit curious to know what's going on with all of you. How would you describe your feelings? Anyone there? How would you describe your feelings? Auntie Sharon, how would you describe your feelings right now?
I am excited, actually.
Okay.
I'm excited to meet all of these lovely children. I can see some of their cameras on, but I am excited.
Okay, Nyla raised her hand. She also wants to tell us how she's feeling.
I'm feeling normal, if that's a feeling.
Normal?
Yeah.
I don't really know if that's a feeling, but it's a way of being, isn't it? So can we kind of look at this list and see if there's something else that you can pick up from there? You there, Nyla? Normal. I'm
Happy.
happy. Oh, so normal for you is happy then. Oh, so now I really understand, Nyla. So normal for you is happy. So Nyla's usually very happy. Thank you for sharing with us, Nyla. Somebody else just raised their hand. Was it Roland?
Yes.
I feel curious about this Zoom meeting, and I also feel happy to be here.
Thank you so much. So you're curious to see what we're going to be bringing. So wonderful. Thank you for sharing that with us, Roland. Angelina, and thank you for saying you're happy to be here, because I'm happy to be here too. Angelina, what about you?
I feel calm and happy.
Ah, you're calm and happy. That's brilliant. Can you transfer some of your calmness to me? Because I'm a bit shy at the moment. So transfer some of your calmness to me, okay? Thank you. And thank you for feeling happy too. Okay.
I feel comfortable.
You feel comfortable. Transfer some of that to me too, yeah? Angelina, raise your hand again. Is it Yeah, Angelina? We've already spoken.
I forgot to lower my hand.
Oh, you forgot that. Thank you. Okay. So I'm going to hand you over to Auntie Sharon, and she's going to play a little game with you.
Okay, yes. So who likes games? Anybody here likes games?
That depends what it is.
Okay, well, as you can see on here, it says Simon Says. Who's heard of Simon Says? Okay, Ayo likes games. I'm hoping it's not just, pardon?
I heard it.
You heard it, sorry.
Yes.
Okay, Belinda, so we've got a couple of people here who's been at school today or been at work today? Can you put your hands up or shout out?
Me.
Yeah, and how did you feel after school?
Exhilarated most of the time anyway.
Exhilarated, that's a big word.
Tired.
You felt tired. Yeah, I'm feeling a bit tired as well. Anybody else?
Hungry.
Hungry. Okay. Tired. Yeah, I'm feeling really tired, and I'm hoping that this game that we're going to play Simple Simon is going to get us to smile more and just energize us a bit so we can actually start with the program. So who's heard of Simon Says? Okay, Ayo, can you describe what that is? What's the game? What's the rules of the game? Anybody else want to describe the rules of Simon Says? Okay, Ayo?
Yeah, sure. They when Simon says something and somebody says yeah, we have to say the thing out that like word things like or anything that describes k.
Yes. Excellent. Thank you. So when I say Simon Says, you have to do exactly what I tell you. So if I say Simon Says, put your hands on your head, you have to put your hands on your head. But there's a bit of a trick here, because if I don't say Simon Says and I just say put your hands on your heads, then that means that you are out, that you are wrong. Okay, so we're going to do that today. I'm hoping that we'll have a few more people putting their cameras on, because it's going to be really difficult to play this game with people who if I can't see what you're doing. Anybody else willing to put their cameras on, apart from Alexander and Joshua? Anybody else? Thank you. That is great. That is excellent. Excellent. Love to see. I'm seeing all of the cameras coming on. That is excellent. Thank you so much. And I'm wondering, do you think we should allow the adults to play as well? Or do you think they should just...
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, excellent. So you've got children who have their cameras on. If we can ask some of the adults to put their cameras on as well, so we can just have a time of kind of fun and relaxation. Okay. Excellent. So the first thing I'm going to ask you to do, so Simon says, put your hands on your shoulders. Simon says, put your hands up. Simon says, shake your shoulders. Simon says, shout hooray! Clap your hands. Okay, I can see a few people who are caught out there. Okay, that's fine. That was the first time we're doing it. So we're just getting people into the swing of the game. Okay, we'll do that again. So Simon says, slap your knees, clap your knees. Simon says, touch your nose. Simon says, wiggle your fingers. Simon says, nod your head. Move your shoulders, move your shoulders. Okay, so I can see a couple of people there were moving their shoulders, even though Simon didn't say to do so, but that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Okay, so we're going to do it one last time, but I am going to say Hannah is not allowed to play. Hannah's not allowed to play, and Tembe's not allowed to play, and Judy's not allowed to play. Auntie Judy, Auntie Tembe, and Auntie Hannah are not allowed to play. Okay, so if you see them taking part, you'll have to tell me, because they are not allowed to play. Okay, so let's go this for the last time. Simon says, stomp your feet as loud as you can. Simon says, touch your nose. Simon says, move your head from left to right. Simon says, clap your hands. Shout hooray, hooray! Okay, thank you. Thank you everyone for that. And I hope you are feeling a bit more energized today. You're feeling a bit more energized than you did earlier on. Thank you. So if you continue the PowerPoint. So, okay, so as you can see, earlier on, I said that Auntie Judy, Auntie Tembe, and Auntie Hannah were not allowed to play. And I'm wondering, how do you think they felt?
Disappointed.
Disappointed? Okay. So do you think they felt disappointed? Anybody else? How did you think they felt being told that they weren't allowed to play?
Left out.
Left out. Yes. Nyla?
Surprised?
Yeah, I'm sure they were surprised. They were very surprised. Anybody else? Rochelle, how do you think they felt?
Sad.
Very, very sad. Yes, I'm sure somebody felt sad. Any other final ones? Okay. If there are no other ones, let's ask Auntie Judy and Auntie Hannah and Auntie Tembi how they felt.
Disappointed.
Oh, disappointed. That's a very sad word.
I was disappointed, and I also felt left out.
Oh, okay. That's really sad. That's really sad to be left out. And how does it feel to be left out, Hannah?
It just feels like nobody cares.
Oh, okay. I'm sure that's not the case. I mean, I didn't mean for you to feel like that. And Auntie Tembi, how did you feel?
I felt left out and angry that I was left out.
Angry. So those are some of the words that you probably will hear as we talk a bit more this evening. Angry and left out and disappointed. Really, really sad words.
Felt mean.
You felt mean.
It felt mean.
It felt mean. And yeah, I know that's not a very nice word either when you want to be included in something. So what other, so we've heard people saying, aunties this evening saying they felt sad, they felt disappointed, they felt left out. What other things do you think make people feel angry and scared or frightened? What other things do you think make other people feel this way?
Being ridiculed.
Being ridiculed. I like that one. Being ridiculed. Anybody else? Why would being ridiculed make somebody feel? How would it make them feel if you're being ridiculed?
Like you don't deserve what you're actually getting.
Thank you, Alexandria. That's not a very nice way to be feeling. Anybody else in terms of what other things might make people feel sad or angry or scared or frightened? Any other things that might be? Angelina?
Being shouted at.
Oh, I like that one, being shouted at. So if someone is shouted at, how might that make them feel?
Sad and sad.
Yeah, I can imagine that would make somebody feel very, very sad and maybe even a bit scared as well. Titaleo? What? If you have your hand up? No? Okay. If there are no other ones, and yeah, all of those, what we've said, being left out, being shouted at, may make people feel angry or scared or frightened. And there's lots of other situations that people may feel that may make people feel angry or sad or scared, as well as being, as we said, being left out, being told, being put down, being excluded. Lots of situations which may enable people to feel any of these emotions. And as we go throughout this program this evening, we'll be talking a lot more about emotions and the things that make us feel all of these emotions.
Thank you, Auntie Sharon. As Auntie Sharon said, we'll be talking a lot more about emotions, but I think we want to ask you guys a question. Do you guys know what trauma is?
Yeah.
Your hand has gone up. Is that a ghost hand, or is that I see people have raised their hands, but I can't see them. Titileo or Alexander. Alexander, can you tell me what trauma means?
Something like bad that you go through.
Something bad that you go through. Thank you very much. So relating it to what we just spoke about, could you relate it to that at all? Something bad that you go through. Could you give me an example?
Like someone said, being shouted at, you're gonna feel depressed and stuff.
Thank you very much. Yeah, being shouted at will make you feel depressed and stuff. Thank you. You've given me a very clear definition. So once somebody shouts at you, you start to feel depressed or feel low. Oh, somebody just had their hands up and it's gone back down. Did somebody else want to say anything? No? Go ahead.
Losing a loved one can make you traumatized.
Sorry, I missed that. Can you say that again?
Losing somebody that you love can make you traumatized.
That's a very big one. It's so true. Losing someone you love, whether they go away for a very long time or whether they die, it can make you traumatized. That's a very big word that you used, you know. It's a very true word. It can make them traumatized. Does anyone else have thank you very much for sharing that with us. Does anyone else know what trauma means as well? Or can they share with us what they know about trauma? No one else? Okay, so I'm going to give you my definition of trauma, and then we can kind of move into what other things cause trauma as well. Okay, I know this is a very hard topic, and sometimes we don't want to talk about things that make us sad or even scared, but sometimes we just have to learn a bit about it, and then we can understand what it is fully. Okay, so we've classified trauma as a strong emotional reaction of fear to something that has happened in the past, which makes people think about something bad is about to happen again, such as, you know, feeling left out. So if we made you feel left out today, and next time you come on this platform, you might feel like I'm going to be left out again, so maybe I don't want to come. Or bullying at school can be quite a big one as well. And bullying can take form in so many different forms, from the physical to little things like teasing. But even though I'm saying it's a little thing, it's not really a little thing. We've got to understand that can make you feel fearful of seeing those people again. Seeing people around you argue all the time. So if you see, sorry, mums and dads, I've got to say it, but if you see mums and dads arguing all the time, it may feel like, I don't want to see that. So as soon as they start talking, you may think, oh, are they arguing again? So it may feel like something bad is about to happen and you feel fearful of it. And then we move on to the natural disasters, like, you know, flooding. I don't want to mention this one, but COVID-19, a lot of people didn't like COVID-19 at all, right? Am I the only one that didn't like COVID-19? So when I kind of hear about it coming back on the news, I'm like, no, please don't tell us another variant. Please don't tell us something else is going wrong. But that's another thing that that could be seen as a trauma. And then earthquakes as well. I know we don't have much in this country, but other countries have earthquakes. And if somebody's gone through it before, if they hear of it happening, or even if when they see it on the TV, sometimes it makes them think about it. And then seeing something bad, you know, sometimes you might be outside or you might see a car crash happen, or you might be in that car crash yourself, you understand? And then when you see cars coming, you might feel a bit scared of the cars. Sometimes looking at something scary on TV, social media. I don't want to say this, but my son, he watched, there was a show that he watched. He wasn't supposed to watch it. He watched it with his big brothers. I think it was called Chucky. And for a while, he was really scared when he saw dolls. So sometimes you can watch something and then it can kind of, you become frightened of it because you've seen it and you shouldn't have seen it, or it shouldn't have happened. And then maybe you might have heard something from someone else. Sometimes we just think we're telling people our stories, but sometimes if you've been through something that's really hard and somebody has no understanding of it and you tell them, their mind might just replay it over and over again because they don't understand it. And then someone hurting you. Now, children, when I say someone hurting you, what do you think I'm talking about? Do you guys know? I know it's a hard one and you're not sure what to say, but let's just try and talk about it and be open as possible. Someone hurting you. What do you think I'm saying?
I think they say God.
They say God? Well, yeah, they could say God, but what are they trying to say about God?
God is a healer.
God is so true. God is a healer. So that if somebody says that to you, they're not trying to hurt you, are they? They're telling you that something can get better with God, right? Is that right? So they're telling you something can get better with God. But what I would like to know is, when we talk about someone hurting you, what do you think we are talking about? If I came and I hit you, would you hit me, Mama?
You don't have to hit people.
That's right. You don't have to hit people. It's so true. So someone hurting you could be somebody hitting you, somebody saying very horrible words to you, somebody being horrible in ways that you don't understand at all, but like maybe touching you when you say, no, don't touch me, them kicking you when you're at school, teasing you. So somebody hurting you in general, it can be anything that hurts you or anything that makes you feel unhappy. So someone hurting you. And then when you're talking, the last one is people not paying attention. How would you feel if you opened your mouth, children, and then I say, please don't talk, please don't talk, just like the exercise that Auntie Sharon just did with us? How would you guys feel?
Offended.
Offended, yes. Offended is a very big one. Yes, you feel offended, but at the same time, I'm sure you feel a bit sad about people not listening to you as well, right? Yeah. Okay. So that's how we think you guys would feel. So what we want to understand is things that people may do and feel when they're feeling this way. Okay. So things that people may do and feel when they're feeling this way. So when you've had a trauma happen to you, or when you've been traumatized, the word that you guys gave me, sometimes people constantly see what happened in their minds. Do you understand? So it's like you'd be sitting there sometimes watching TV, something comes, it reminds you of what happened. So you're constantly seeing it in your mind, or you may even smell something or taste something, or you may be even walking along the road. It just constantly replays on your mind. So when you've had something traumatic happen to you, it constantly replays on your mind, okay? And then you may have problems sleeping. So some people may sleep too much. That is a technique to kind of avoid the real world. Or some people won't sleep at all because every time they try to sleep, this traumatic event plays again over and over again in their mind. Some people may feel nervous. You know, when you feel nervous and you start to kind of feel jittery. Do you know how jittery is? It's like you can't stay still. It's almost like you're shaking, but it's your body's way of responding to what is going on within your body, okay? Or you become really alert or watchful. Now, becoming alert or watchful, it's always like you're always looking around, expecting something bad to happen. So it's like you never can stay still. It's almost like your mind is constantly thinking something is about to happen. So you stay within watching everything that's going on. Bad or scary dreams. Can one of you guys tell me about bad or scary dreams? Anyone can tell me about bad or scary dreams? Richie Smith, tell me.
It's when you have like a dream that you don't really like.
Yes, when you have a dream that you don't really like, that's exactly it. What about the next one? Thinking something bad is always about to happen. Who can tell me what that one means to you guys? No one? Oh, Richie, your hand is up again. Go ahead. Or is that a ghost hand? Richie? Okay, so I think that. Go ahead.
I dream that a horse at telephone and telephone towers will come in and walking down the street.
So when you're walking down the street, you think somebody's gonna come up behind you. Is that right?
Yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah. Yeah. So thinking that, always thinking that something bad is happening. So like if you're walking down the street, somebody's gonna come behind you. What about problems keeping your mind on one thing? Who can tell me how that might feel? Anyone? Okay, so with that one, it's just saying problems keeping your mind on one thing. So sometimes you can be sitting there and you might think about, I want to play a game of football. And then it's like, no, I have to do my homework. No, mum asked me to do this. It's like everything that is going on in your mind at the same time. And your mind just can't keep still and concentrate on one thing. Okay. And then you might have problems paying attention to things. So if your mind can't stay still, it might be you're playing a game, you're moving, you're doing something else. Your mind just can't stay on one thing. So it's like everything just seems to be going around in all circles. And then being jumpy to allow, jumpiness to allow noise. So anything that happens is like, as soon as somebody drops something, you jump. As soon as somebody walks in a room, you jump. So it's like you're so easily startled that anything that happens, you just jump at what is happening. And then feeling sad or angry or scared all the time. This one we've already kind of started talking about already, feeling sad, angry, and scared all the time. That just means that, you are really feeling the trauma that's happened to you, because you're not able to kind of step out of feeling angry. It's always angry because something's happened to you. Sad because you're not too sure what to do with it. And scared because there's this fear that it might happen again. You understand, guys? Are you guys with me? Am I going too fast? Am I going too fast? Am I saying, if I say something and you don't understand, stop me and say, Auntie, what does that mean? I'm happy to explain it a bit more, but I just really want you guys to have the understanding, okay? So that's what we mean by feeling sad, angry, or scared all the time. And then sometimes you might, because of the thing might have happened with your friends. So it might have been your friends leaving you out. So you might not you don't want to play again with them, or you don't want to play with your friends again. So that's another one. There's also more. So you might start to feel tired all the time, because what happens, and I'm going to go a bit into the mind here, what happens every time you kind of have an emotion of feeling sad, angry, or scared, in your brain, there's something called the fight or the flight. It makes you it reacts in your body and it reacts in your mind. So sometimes when you finish doing that, you might feel like you're a bit breathless, or you might feel like you can't breathe because you're scared that something's about to happen. And then there's this one where there's constant aches in your body. You might have a headache today, a stomach ache tomorrow, your chest might be hurting, your throat might be hurting. Yes, they are real physical symptoms of feeling ill, but sometimes when you've had trauma happen in your life, the trauma can kind of come up in your body. When I say it comes up in your body, you might feel certain emotions, like sometimes you might feel really scared, and this might make your belly start turning round, or you might be thinking all the time, so then your head starts to ache, or you might keep yourself in a certain position. So when you keep yourself in a certain position, then your muscles start to become so rigid and tense, so then those places start to hurt you. Okay. And then we've already mentioned feeling breathless all the time, but when you're feeling breathless, it's just because your mind has been overworking and your body's been overworking, so it's working with it. And then you're not enjoying the activities that you used to enjoy doing. What activities, guys, do you enjoy doing?
Football.
So if for instance, we know you like football, if you start saying, I don't want to play football no more, I don't feel like playing, then we know that something's wrong, because you don't enjoy it as much as you used to. Then we move on to being tearful all the time. Oh, sorry, Richie, go ahead.
I like to ride my bike.
You like to ride your bike, exactly. So go ahead. Yeah, so you like to ride your bike all the time. So mum and dad or anyone that's around you will notice that something is wrong if you decide not to ride your bike anymore. Okay. And then being tearful, this one's a big one, because every time something happens, the easiest thing what to do is to cry. It's almost like you don't know how to say your words or do anything about it. All you feel like is crying all the time. So that's another thing that happens when trauma has happened to you. And then you're always wanting to be with mum or dad. I'm sure you guys want to be with mum or dad all the time, but when you see your friends, you guys want to play, don't you? Am I right in saying you want to play when you see your friends? You want to talk to them, you want to be around them, jump about with them and do anything with them. But somebody that's been through trauma, what tends to happen is when they're with, even when everyone is around, they just want to be stuck to mum and dad all the time, okay? And another one is acting without thinking. Who could tell me this one? Because I'm finding it a bit hard to explain this one. So could someone tell me what acting without thinking could be?
Doing things that, like, after you've done it, you realise was bad.
Thank you. Oh, that is such a great explanation. I don't think I would have thought of that one. So doing things that you don't, after you've done, you only realize it's bad. Thank you for that explanation. And then we go to wetting the bed. Now we know not everyone might wet the bed, but what we're trying to say here is sometimes when you've been through something really scary, it kind of stops you acting the way you would usually act. So you would know that, you know, if I need to get up and use the toilet in the evening, you would usually get up and do that. But because you might be really scared of the thing that happened, you might not want to get up. So it's like you almost just stay in your bed and you just do whatever you need to do in your bed. And it's a way of kind of, it's a way, how would I say, Auntie Sharon? It's a way of pushing your mind back. It's almost like your mind forgets what to do. Is that right? Yeah, your mind forgets what to do. And then the next one is getting upset easily. So with everything that happens, just as the tearfulness, instead of talking about it, instead of saying this is how I feel, instead of saying I'm feeling angry, sad, or whatever, as soon as something happens, you just get upset easily. And then you might be moody all the time because you find it hard to smile, because sometimes when you've been through a traumatic event, or when you've been through something that you find traumatic, it's so hard to kind of just remember, oh, this is how I smile. This is the things that I used to enjoy. This is what I need to do to make me happy. You just forget about doing that. And the last one is getting hot easily. You get hot, flustered, bothered easily. Just again, like, as I said, your body's working so hard to control everything that every situation is almost like you get easily hot, you get easily breathless, because what you're doing at that time is you're not allowing your body to relax. You're panicking a bit, okay? I'll hand you to Auntie Sharon.
Okay, so thank you, Auntie Hannah, for explaining what the symptoms are of trauma that you might be experiencing. So, as we were saying, even though we may experience this, for most people, so some of the things that you may feel and do may go away on their own. So for most people, it will go away on their own. But actually, sometimes it does take longer. It doesn't go away straight away. And if these emotional reactions last longer than 2 or 3 months, then the person can be in shock and develop what we call post-traumatic stress disorder, which is shortened to PTSD. Has anyone here ever heard of PTSD? Ever heard of the word PTSD, the phrase?
I've heard it.
Okay, you've heard it. Do you know what it is?
No.
No, that's fine. It's actually quite a big word, and it's actually quite complex as well. So thank you very much, Alexandra. So really, it's really about the body going into shock. It's actually a big shock to the system. And as we were saying earlier, for some people they are able to get over that, but for some people it takes a lot longer to get over that. So if you're still experiencing these symptoms after you've had that traumatic experience, it's said that you have developed something called PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. So, Hannah? So when we talk about post-traumatic stress disorder, it's divided into what we call 2 T's. So the T stands for trauma. So we have the big trauma, we call it the big T's and the little T's. So when we talk about big T's, these are things that someone may be exposed to over a period of time. So it happens over a long period of time. So an example might be put downs. So when we're talking about put downs, if there's someone saying that you put them down, or you feel that you've been put down, What sort of things might they people be doing and saying? Any ideas? If someone is putting you down, what might the person be doing or saying?
Maybe like saying stuff like you're not good at this and
Yeah.
just making you feel like bad.
Yeah, thank you, Nana. That's an excellent example. Yes, most of the time it's about things, people making you feel bad and telling you what you're not. Like, you know, you're stupid, you're ugly, you can't do this, you can't even ride a bike, you can't even do your maths, you can't even add up properly. You know, you're ugly. You will never amount to anything. I mean, if people have said this to you, how might you be feeling?
Sad.
Very, very sad. If someone said that to you, someone said that to me, I'd be feeling very, very sad. And if someone said to you, you're too fat, you know, you're fat, you're too fat, how might you be feeling? What might you be thinking?
I'd be fed up with it all.
Definitely fed up. It's not something that you'd want to hear over a long period of time. But with the big T, the small T's, these are things that happened over a period of time. So, for example, you've got another one here: the loss of significant relationships. It may be that someone has, you know, someone who's really important to you has passed away, or that person may have moved away, as Hannah was saying earlier on, or you may have moved away from that person. And because it's happening over a period of time, we would say that this is what we call a small T, a small trauma. And when we say it's small, it doesn't mean that it's not important. It's saying that it's a trauma that's happened over a period of time. Bullying, so that's one that is an interesting one. How do you feel that people who are being bullied might feel, and what might people be saying to them? Bullying? Any thoughts about what might be happening, what people might be saying? Or how the individual might be feeling? If there are no ideas, I can imagine that I would be feeling quite scared. I'd be really anxious about going to school. I would be feeling maybe that what they're saying about me is true, you know? And so as a result of all of these like put downs, you know, you're ugly, you're too fat, that may change the way that that individual starts seeing themselves. They might start believing what the person has said about them. And as a result of believing those things about that person said about them, they might start to feel angry. They might start to feel ashamed. They might start to feel kind of guilty. And if, say, for example, somebody's feeling angry, how might they show that they're angry? How might their anger come out? Anybody?
They might retaliate by fighting.
That's a good one. Was that Leonie? Or
yes,
Rafiat?
Yes.
Oh, Rafiat, thank you very much. That is a really big one, because sometimes we see people behaving in a particular way, but we don't know why they're behaving them, and we can just assume that they're being naughty or they're being bad. But quite often there's something behind their behavior, something behind the anger that we may not necessarily know about. We may make wrong assumptions about them. Any other, in terms of bullying, any other thoughts? What might somebody else be doing as a result of being?
Maybe the anger will turn into tears.
Yes, so they might be crying. That's another good important one. That's right. The person might start crying, and sometimes you don't know why the person's crying. We may make assumption that that person's weak, or that person's just being silly. But there's lots of reasons why people might be crying, or people might be angry, why they might be feeling, why they may not necessarily even been talking very much. Thank you.
They might start saying bad things about other people.
I like that one. That is very, very true. And why might they start saying bad things about other people?
Because those things are said to them.
Yes,
So
exactly.
They be angry.
Yes, exactly. And often we hear the term that hurting people hurt people. Says because they're hurting, they may actually want somebody else to be hurting just like them. Thank you. Angelina? Is your hand up?
Yeah.
Mhm.
They might become withdrawn and they wouldn't want to take part in some activities.
Yes, exactly. That's a really good one, because sometimes when we're being bullied or we're being put down, we may not necessarily feel very good about ourselves, and so we actually withdraw, and we think it's probably better to stay by ourselves because we might continue to get bullied, or we may not necessarily feel good about ourselves, so we pull away because we feel we've taken on, we believe what other people have been telling us. So thank you very much for your contribution. Some very brainy, very wise children here tonight. Thank you. And so, as I was saying, a combination of these can lead to post-traumatic stress disorder. So there's also what we call the big T's, and the big T's are the ones that we often hear about. And the big T's are the ones that are really kind of fear-based. So the big T's, it says here, can move into PTSD. So it could be, for example, a single accident, such as a fire, an accident, a kidnapping, a natural disaster. I mean, is anybody here ever, for example, had an accident, like maybe falling off a bike or going to the park and hurting themselves? Anybody?
I did.
Okay, what happened to you?
I did.
I was riding my bike and it had training wheels and I was leaning too far to the left and I fell off.
Oh, did you hurt yourself?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Michelle. But when you came off the bike, was it easy for you to want to go and ride your bike again, or did you feel a bit scared about riding?
I went back on.
Oh, wow. Good for you. So you weren't scared about riding again. Thank you. We'll come back to that, Michelle. We've got Angelina and Jediel.
I fell off of the swing once.
Okay.
But I didn't hurt myself.
You didn't hurt yourself. Okay, I'm pleased to hear that. Thank you. And Jediel?
Last time I was racing with a bike and the bike fell off. I fell and the bike rolled over me.
Oh, that sounds very painful. I'm sorry to hear that. And did you want to get onto your bike again? Or were you scared to get back on your bike?
No.
You weren't scared. Okay.
Yes, I was.
You were scared. Okay, thank you. We'll come back to you, Jediel. Michelle?
I also was riding too fast in the park and I fell into a grass heap.
Oh,
fell into a grass heap.
Oh, so lots of people.
Also swinging in a hammock too fast and I fell up.
Oh, so you've had lots of different accidents. And from what we're hearing for some people, they fell off their bike and they were they were able to get back onto their bikes. And as I was saying earlier on, for some people, they may have an accident, but they can get over it quite quickly. But for some other people, we've heard here that they felt fearful about getting back onto their bikes. I'm not sure how long it took you to get back on your bikes, but I'm hoping that it wasn't too long. But if it was a very long time, that could have helped. That could have developed into post-traumatic stress disorder, because, as I was saying, it's something that is fear-based, and if you have experienced something like riding a bike or an accident, it might mean that you actually are fearful of getting back onto your bike. So another examples of BTs might be kind of death of a loved one. So if, say, for example, you know, somebody, you've lost a loved one, somebody who you really care about, you might be, we talked earlier about being quite clingy to someone because you're fearful that somebody else might pass away as well. And then we're talking about also episodes of abuse, assaults, witnessing violence. There's a lot of this in the media about lots of kind of awful things like stabbings and shootings, which aren't very nice. And so if you heard about this, or if you saw this, it might mean that you become really, really scared about maybe going out because you're fearful that you might see it again, it might happen to you.
Auntie Nyla raised her hand.
So Nyla, thank you, Nyla.
I was just saying that I lost my grandma.
Oh, that's your auntie. I'm sorry to hear that, Nyla. I'm really, really sorry to hear that. And it's really, really sad when we lose people that are really, really close to us. And I'm hoping that for you, that you've been able to have some really lovely memories about your grandmother. I'm hoping that I'm hoping that that's, you know, a time that you are able to reflect and have some really lovely memories about your grandmother. And so, just to kind of sum up what I've been saying about, and we've got adverse life experiences, and when we talk about adverse life experiences, experiences that we may have experienced as we were growing up. So it might be, for example, neglect. It might be the loss of the parental, parents, no longer being together. It might be kind of bullying. So there's lots of experiences that you might go through which cause fear. And if it has caused fear, and those symptoms of the fear are that we've talked about earlier, that Auntie Hannah went through in quite detail. If they're lasting more than sort of 2 or 3 months, then it might be that the individual has developed what we call post-traumatic stress disorder. Thank you, Auntie Hannah.
We've heard some big words today, post-traumatic stress disorder and traumatized and trauma. And I'm guessing they're a bit heavy, aren't they? All those words are a bit heavy. To me, they kind of feel like, they feel like feelings that I don't want to feel, okay? But let's look at it again. As much as we may have gone through all of those things, there's things that we can do. So individually, we can do certain things to kind of help us. Again, children, let me see your faces, because I want to teach you a breathing exercise. I want to teach you a breathing exercise that's usually helpful, even when you're kind of feeling a bit anxious in your stomach and your stomach is turning, or you're a bit nervous to do something. We just have something that you can do to help you. Plus, if you've had any sort of trauma in your life, you can do this. So it helps you to kind of relax your body, because remember I said to you, sometimes it's your body that reacts and sometimes it's your mind that reacts. So I want to teach you all a quick breathing exercise. So can I see your faces? Can I see your cameras are on? Okay, if you can just put one hand on your chest for me and one hand on your stomach. Okay, and what I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to ask you to breathe in through your nose. Okay, you're going to be breathing in through your nose. Not like this, not like this. Not like that. I want you to do it like this, very slowly. Just take small little breaths in through your nose, okay? And whilst you're doing that, I'm going to be counting to 3, okay? I'll count to 3 because we're all doing it together. And then I'm going to ask you to hold it. I'm going to say, hold it. So when I say hold it, what I want you to do is hold that breath. And whilst you do that, I will count to 3 again. And then I'm going to ask you to breathe out through your mouth, okay? And whilst you're breathing out through your mouth, this is how I want you to, I don't want you to just go, take it slowly, let the breath come out really slowly. Okay? Have you all got the instructions for that? You all got it? Okay. We're ready to begin. So, breathe in. 1, 2, 3. Hold. 1, 2, 3. Breathe out. 1, 2, 3. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3. Hold. 1, 2, 3. Breathe out. 1, 2, 3. Were you guys able to do that with me?
Yeah.
Yes. How did that feel?
Fine.
Fine. Brilliant.
Relax.
It felt, sorry, I missed that one.
We felt relaxed.
You felt relaxed. Oh, wonderful. That's what we're aiming for. Anyone else? How did you feel when you finished doing that? So you felt fine. We've had fine. We've had relaxed. Anyone else can speak up. How did you feel when you finished doing that? I didn't hear that one.
Where's we going?
Oh, I'm still missing that one. We're gonna go with relaxed for now, for fine and relaxed. And the reason why we felt fine and relaxed is anytime something's going on in your body, a feeling, a sensation's going on in your body according to your feelings, if you do that breathing technique, it just helps you to relax a bit. It just helps you to feel calmer. The reason I asked you to put one hand on your chest and one hand on your stomach is I want the breathing not to come from your chest, because when we breathe from our chest, we don't get that full calming effect. I want it to come from the stomach. So when you kind of allow the breathing to come from the stomach, it calms you down completely. So that's just something you can go to anytime you walk into school and somebody teases you or you're feeling an emotion like sad or angry. If you do that, you will calm down straight away, okay? Another thing that you can do is just find some guidance in learning or talking about it. So like we're doing here, you guys have done brilliant. You come over here because now all of you here are experts. When you go to school, if somebody says, what is trauma? You're going to be able to tell them everything about trauma. So what you've done is you found a bit of guidance about what trauma is. Now you know about it. And if I was to ask you the question, what is trauma? What can you guys tell me? Speak to me. What is trauma, children? What have you learned, or what did you know?
Is it when when your parents start arguing?
When your parents start arguing, it can be traumatic. Yes, it can be one of those things. Yes.
When you witness something terrifying or bad.
That's right. When you witness something terrifying or bad. Yes.
When someone who is not very nice and they teasing you and they say, stop it.
That's so true. When someone is teasing you, that's exactly it. It's all of those things can be traumatic events. Is there any more? Angelina? Sorry, Nyla. Sorry, Nyla.
When a frightening event happens in your life.
When a frightening event happens in your life. That's exactly it. Guys, you guys are so wonderful. I wish I was like you when I was your age. Oh, Jadil.
They want you to feel sad.
When they want you to feel sad or scared. So true. So all of you have explained the events that may cause trauma. So thank you so much for explaining it. Now, can you also tell me how you may feel after these events?
Sad. Scared.
Scared. That's exactly it. Sad, scared, angry. You guys have just explained trauma just now. So you are all now experts. Okay. So if anyone asks if you what trauma is, you can tell them exactly what it is. So you found guidance and you've learned about what it is, and now you can talk about it. Okay. Another thing that you can do is talk to parents, because sometimes when things happen to us, like when you go to school and somebody says a horrible word to you, if you're able to speak to your parents about it straight away, and your parents can say to you, what did they say? How did you feel? What was going on in your mind? What did it make you think about yourself? It helps you to be able to look at what happened and take it in and understand it, just to be able to say, okay, this is my understanding of what happened right now. Okay, so talking to your parents or even a trusted adult, any trusted adult, to be able to understand what happened. Yes, Kenyama?
So if someone says a bad word to you, you just calm down.
Yeah, it's hard to calm down sometimes though, but you can breathe it out. Okay, and then when you calm down, You can talk to mum and dad about it as well, or talk to any of your trusted parents. Okay, Kenyama? Yes, thank you. And then also drawing or writing. So if I remember on Friday when Auntie Karen spoke to us, she showed us an emotional pie. And if you're feeling angry, sad, or whatever, if it's not a nice emotion, you do a pie about it and you express all the emotions that you're feeling at the same time. And then you're able to talk about it to anyone that is there. Okay. And then you can always remind yourself that you are special, because guys, you guys are so wonderful. You are so wonderfully made. You are special in every way. So even if somebody says something bad to you and they tease you, usually because they're a bit jealous of you. I'll be honest with you and say that's what it is. When someone is teasing you or being horrible to you, it's just because they're a bit jealous of you. So I want you to remember that you're very, very special. And even when something bad is happening or something traumatic happens, just tell yourself, I'm special, I'm special. God has got me, I'm special, okay? And that is part of the positive self-talk. It's kind of helping you to stand out and say, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, and I am special. And then another one you can do is, this one is really lovely because I love to look at myself in the mirror. So you can stand in front of the mirror, just standing like you see Kenyama saying it right now because she can see herself on the screen. So she's standing in there and she's looking in the mirror and she's smiling, she's looking at herself. But what I also want you to do is stand there, look at yourself, but smile to yourself, and then tell yourself something nice about yourself that you like. Okay, so you can say maybe I have lovely hair, I like my eyes, I am beautiful. You can say all of those things to you. And if somebody says something very horrible to you that day, what you can do is stop for a moment, and that thing that they said, if for instance, if they said to you, I don't like your hair because it's too greasy, you tell yourself they're just jealous that I have nice hair. Okay, so what you're doing is making sure everything you are telling yourself is positive, and also share that with mum and dad, so mum and dad can tell you positive things about yourself. And then on Saturday, do you guys remember we talked about your talents? Yes, your talents and your gifts. That's the time to start utilizing them, making sure you're using your talents, because when you're using your talents, you're happy and you're in that zone where your mind can come away from all the horrible things or the traumatic things that have happened. Okay, so use your talent so it can take your mind away from there. And then the next one is just get a lot of hugs from someone you feel safe with. So if it's mom, dad, somebody that makes you feel so safe, so loved, so calming, get so many hugs and kisses from them. But one thing I will say to all of you is, if the thing lasts for more than 2 to 3 months and your mind just won't stay away from feeling sad, angry, frightened, if your mind won't stay from get away from that, as much as you're doing all of these things, ask mum, please take me to counseling, because going to counseling, sometimes the counselors are able to help you to just talk about your thoughts more, look at what is going on in your thinking, and understand and give you more understanding of what is going on in your mind and what you're feeling. Do we all understand? Yes? Are there any questions, or is there anything that you guys want to add on for us? Any questions from anyone, or anything you want to add on from us? Did you guys understand what we meant by what trauma is?
Yes.
Yes. So now you all understand trauma. Like I said, you guys are now experts. Okay, you can tell anyone about it. So any questions or anything that you want to share with us at this point before we move to mums and dads, so they can have a bit more understanding too?
No.
No? Oh, wonderful. Does it mean you guys understood everything? Oh, I see you nodding. Thank you. That's brilliant that you understood everything. So that is wonderful. So thank you so much, children. I just want you to all stand up at this point. Just stand up at this point, because this is quite a heavy topic, and you guys have to go to bed soon, right? Yeah. So if you just stand up for a bit and just shake it all off, just shake everything that we've talked about. Shake it all off. Shake. I want to see some real shaking. Shake it, shake it, shake it. Take it all away. And I want to see some wonderful smiles, just smiles on your face. smiles on your face. Start thinking happy thoughts. I like butterflies, so I'm thinking butterflies. I can see the sea, and the sea is just flowing. There's butterflies, there's sand everywhere, and I just love to see that. Is that okay with everyone? Have you all shaken it off? Sorry for such a heavy topic before bedtime, but really remember, every time you're going through something, talk to somebody about it. Whatever the feeling is, whether it's sadness, whether it's happiness, whatever it is, talk to somebody about it. It's always nice to talk about your feelings and get a better understanding of it. Okay, everyone? Thank you, children, so much for being here. It's been so wonderful. We're going to move just to your mums and dads, just so they can have some little tips of what to do. Is that okay? Is that okay? Yes?
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Okay. So, Auntie Sharon, I'll hand over to you.
Thank you, Auntie Hannah. Wow, after that, I feel so tired after all that shaking, but I really, really enjoyed that. That was fun. And I can see the children were enjoying it as well. As we say, we're now moving to the adults, to the parents, just in terms of helping you understand how you can manage or support your children if they are experiencing any sort of trauma. Now, bereavement is one that I know we've spoken about for the past couple of days over the period since this week has started. And bereavement is quite a big one because it's something that we all experience. And in terms of children, it's one of the biggest losses that children face, but one that parents find the most difficult to handle and support children through. And I guess I'm just going to ask parents, not necessarily to kind of say yes or no, but just to start thinking about, you know, if your child or you have been, and your child has been through some sort of bereavement, or you yourself, how confident are you? How do you support your children through this process? And one of the ways, a number of ways that we can do this is by understanding the children's concept of death, their grief response, and the signs of distress. So when we're talking about understanding a child's concept of death, it's like, how do they see death? How do they see it as something that is something that's kind of, when I say eternal, something that is forever, or do they see it as temporary? Do they see it as abandonment? How do your children see death? And all of these different ways, when we're talking about people's concepts, it will be changed according to how old the child is. And which also, it's really important also to understand the child's grief response. So when we talk about grief response, we're talking about how does that child see or understand that that person is gone. What is their concept? How do they actually understand it? And obviously, again, that will be age according to their how old they are. It may change, for example, for a child who's maybe 2 years old to a child that is maybe 14. They may have a better understanding or a different understanding of what grief is and how they respond to that grief. And there's also signs of distress. So how does a child show that they're distressed? For some children, for example, if it's a young child, it may be that they may be very clingy. They may have that person around, but they may be very clingy because there may be that sense that, you know, maybe this person will also go as well. They may be also be crying. They may be temper tantrums. But again, it may also, maybe with an older child, there may be the anger, there might be that difficulty concentrating. So again, it's again age appropriate. And then, you know, in terms of being able to respond to a child's bereavement, or how the child is reacting to that bereavement, there are also a number of ways that, you know, suggestions in terms of how appropriate is, you know, how you can respond appropriately. And even though this is a very short kind of summary of bereavement, it's, as I said, it's a really important topic in terms of supporting children through the process. But you can actually access this. I think it's been put in, you can actually access this. There's a handout, I think it's in, is it in the pack? It's actually in the pack. So if you want more information about this, how you can support your children through the process of bereavement, there's quite a comprehensive list of how you can respond appropriately based on the child's age.
Thank you, Auntie. And also, I know we didn't want to talk about the symptoms and the symptoms and the causes here, because parents, if you look in your resource pack, we've also attached that as well. So it's all there. Another thing that we wanted to kind of explore as well, so parents are aware, is sometimes your child can just be overly anxious. And if your child is overly anxious and you're thinking nothing's happened to you, or you haven't had any traumatic events, or you haven't lost anyone, but the child just came out really anxious, it might just be a thing of, it might be genetics or it might be inherited. So trauma can leave a chemical mark on a person's gene, and this gene can be passed from generation to generation. And we don't want to go into that too much because it's a whole new topic to discuss. If you want to understand intergenerational trauma, if you go on Cornerstone's YouTube, Pastor Les Aki has done a brilliant presentation on intergenerational trauma. So it gives you an understanding of how it can be passed down. But when it's passed down, what we're saying is the same things that we've kind of discussed with the children in terms of what they can do. It's very helpful for them. Plus, we'll also give you some other tips. Sharon, did you want to talk about it from the womb?
Yeah, it's really just to say that when we're talking about genetics and being inherited, that it's really important, which I'm sure most of you will know, you know, what we expose ourselves to and what we do when, you know, when the child is in the room, when the child is not born as yet. So things like stress, for example, if you're undergoing a period of stress when you are pregnant, that will produce particular hormones. That can, for example, it will produce cortisol. And cortisol is a hormone that is produced one of the hormones that's produced when we are under a great deal of stress. And this can impact the child as well, because if the child is I say fed, in terms of this is what you're producing, obviously it's been naturally progressed to the child. And this can have an impact on the child once the child is born. It can result in them feeling quite down. It can result in depression, etc. if this is what the child is experiencing in the womb over a long period of time. So it's really important when, you know, to recognize that when you're pregnant, it's really important that to actually keep those kind of stress hormones down, because that can have a negative impact on the child. And also, if you yourself have actually experienced trauma in the past, it can also have a negative an impact again if you are pregnant, because it could be that you're thinking about that experience, and again those that kind of that cortisol, those hormones that are being produced can impact the child in a negative way. If, for example, there are feelings around anxiety, around the depression, or if you're in a relationship where there is a lot of conflict, not only obviously does the child experience that, you're producing that again, that cortisol, and maybe also producing that adrenaline, which we know can impact the child long term. So it's really just to talk about genetics and how genetics but also what's happening within you in your, you know, in uterus before the child is born, how that can impact on the child's experience of trauma.
Thank you, Auntie Sharon. And also, like you've just said, also if you are experiencing symptoms of trauma, like the things that we've spoken about in the symptoms, if you kind of react or get startled easily, if you jump or you're always watchful, all of these things can be learnt behavior as well. So you have to be really aware of how you are in front of the kids or how you are with the kids. If you've experienced trauma yourself, it's best that you get counseling or you find a way of talking it through, just so it allows you not to exhibit these behaviors in front of the children. Because remember, we've always, since we started this, we've always said, model the behavior that you want to happen in front of your children. So if you're quite an anxious person, your child will also be naturally anxious. Now, let's move on to things that we can do, because I know we've kind of given you a bit of a headache talking about the fact that it's inherited or the fact of things that you do. So if we move on to the things that you can do. So things that you can do and say to a child that has had some sort of trauma happen to them. You know, sometimes we think we know everything, but in all honesty, we don't. Being able to ask a child a simple question of, what can I do to help you? Sometimes it's so helpful. Some children may not know, but some children may think, okay, maybe if you did this, or maybe if you just sat with me, maybe if you just hugged me, that may be helpful. Maybe if you just allowed me to talk about it. So asking the child what you can do to help is very helpful. Another thing is, you know, you can help the child challenge their thoughts. I know this can be very, very difficult, because depending on if, you know, depending on the way you challenge things, if you're a very challenging person anyway, it can be terrible, because then the child may feel a bit more overwhelmed. But if you can just challenge the small beliefs, so if they say, oh, because they say I'm ugly, I believe I'm ugly. No, you can say, what makes you think you're ugly? Look at your eyes. How do you see your eyes? Help them to look at the things that they're seeing and what they can see as different, so they're not believing what they've been told. Okay, they've been told by other people. And then also, you know, the biggest one is reassurance, because even you as an adult, if something bad happens, if you go to work and you've had a bad day, all you want to be able to say is, this, oh, I've had such a terrible day. It's just been a long thing. Everything hasn't gone well. You want to talk about those things, but you also want your child, you also just want to allow the child to be able to just talk about it. And then you just reassure them that everything's going to be okay. So when you allow them to talk about it, just reassure them, no matter what it is, it's going to be okay. And then you also have to always tell them, you know, this is a very big one. Just letting that person, that child know that, you know, I'm always here when you need me. So whatever's going on, I'm always here, even if I'm busy. Like most of the evenings I work, but when I'm working, I always say to my daughter, I'm always here if you need me, or my son, I'm always here if you need me, you want to talk. You know, I might not be able to talk to you right now because I'm presenting, but if you slip me a little note, I can do something about that. So just letting them know you're always here when you need to talk to them. And encourage activity, sports and exercise. And again, we were talking about talents on Saturday, because most of the talents tend to be activity based. So if you're able to kind of encourage whatever talent that they've been given and help them to kind of harness it, it helps their minds to grow. And also praise them for their hard work and effort. So if you know this is normal things that we should be doing anyway, but if something's gone on, we should be praising them for the fact that they've been able to come and tell us, praising them for allowing them to kind of sit there and say, Mum, you know, this is what's gone on. Praise them for any little effort that they make towards understanding what's going on for them. Once they've told you as well, the next day, show concern, show that you care, really be there. How are you feeling today? Just ask them, how are you feeling today? You know, yesterday we spoke about this. Do you want to carry on talking about that? Just keep asking them every day how you're feeling, because if they know their emotions, or if you know their emotions, you can tell when something's not feeling right for them. Okay. And then be aware of any little change in their behaviors. So if they start to kind of, if like the children said, if, you know, they were usually playing with their footballs every time, and now they're starting to withdraw and say, I don't want to play with my football, I don't want to go outside, you know that something has changed. And like you said, like we've already said, I'm here when you need me, but I'm here to listen to you. Also make them aware, because, you know, as much as you're saying I'm here, they might think, okay, you're here, what are you here for? You can also tell them I'm here to listen to you. And then you can encourage them, just little encourages in every conversation. Sometimes they might be talking, and as parents or as adults, we just want to butt in and say yes, but you know, but just encourage them, just nod and say, okay, this is what you said, is that right? Confirm with them. Let them also feel like they're in control of the conversation that's going on as well. And then one of the biggest thing is having this mindset, we will overcome this together. We'll be able to we'll be able to work on this. We'll be able to get better. make sure you're saying, we're going to, whatever it is, if it's trauma, God will heal it. You just keep telling them, God will heal it. We'll heal it together. We're working on this together. So always be telling them, we will overcome this. Auntie Sharon, did you want to continue?
So learn about mental health, and so you can, sorry, it's really small, so you can spot signs and symptoms. So this is really about what we're doing here, actually, as we talked about earlier. If we know, if we are aware, if we are educate ourselves about what the signs and symptoms are, then you're easily going to be able to spot it in your child and be able to support them accordingly. So I want to kind of, congratulate all of the parents, all of the adults who are here, in terms of, so they are learning about the signs and symptoms, so they can support whether it's their children or any other children that they come into contact with. Teach them some simple relaxation skills such as deep breathing. Again, we've done it today. Hannah's taken you through some of these deep breathing exercises, and we're hoping that this is something that you can do with your child, you can do with your children who you support at church or your family members. That is something that, again, it doesn't take time, it doesn't cost anything, and it's something that is really healthy for us, whether we've gone through a traumatic experience or not. Be a role model, practice self-care, getting around your children. Again, it's about, as I think Hannah mentioned earlier, it's about being exhibiting the behavior that you want in your children, practicing or modeling it yourself, so that they actually can see what you, they can see in you what you are expecting from them. Support your child to effectively problem solve. So again, as adults, we learn to problem solve. We experience problems all the time. Teach your children how to problem solve. If there's a problem, an issue, sit down together and say, let's work on this together. What do you think we should do? What do you think is going to be helpful? What are the good things about this? What are the bad, negative consequences of this? Sit down and help your children to solve problems. And so they will grow to be effective problem solvers, which will be helpful for their mental health. And again, I am so proud of you today. I mean, would you feel if every day someone told you, I'm so proud of you? If you work, or if you're in a relationship, or even your children are telling you, how I'm so proud of you today. Think about how you would feel and how that helps, that positive effect that it has on you. And if you're thinking for yourself, that makes you feel really good, think about how that's going to make your child feel as well. Schedule in some family time to relax. Again, life is so busy. We are busy doing, things, whether it's work or school, or often we're running from one thing to another. But this, it's like pressing the pause button and having family time to relax, because that's not only going to help your child's mental health, it's actually going to help you as an adult as well. Do not pressure your child, have patience. So sometimes we may want things done almost like yesterday, and so we pressure our children into doing things, hurry up, this should have been done yesterday. But actually, thinking about how you probably felt when you were a child and your parents were constantly on your case to do things, maybe trying to understand that child, and actually understanding, having that patience and taking that time to understand what the issue might be. Support and regularly encourage your child. And I think Hannah talked about this earlier on, supporting and encouraging your child, whether it's academically, whether it's in whatever, emotionally, whatever way. When we are supported and we feel encouraged, that has a positive effect on our mental health. And finally, saying I love you to your child every single day. Who here doesn't like to hear that I love you? God, our Father, tells us he loves us in so many ways. And so it's about telling your child, I love you in whatever, it doesn't necessarily even just have to be verbally. There's so many ways that we can express our love for each other. So maybe finding different ways on a daily basis to express your love for your child. And that can only be good for their mental well-being.
And it's that true. I know it's past 8 o'clock and it's past everyone's bedtimes. I am so sorry, but just one more slide to go and we're finished. Okay. So other things that can also help is, we've already spoken about this, but making the child feel safe all the time. So making sure, you know, asking, are you okay? Do you feel safe? What is going on? And from toddlers to teens, just it benefits their mindset. If you're giving them that extra cuddling, the hugs, reassuring them, even a pat on the back, just give them that security. Just let them know that, you know, I'm here for you. Whatever it is, I am here for you. It really helps. Another thing that we can do is just act calm. I'll be honest with you, when something happens or when you hear about your child going through something traumatic, the hardest thing to do is to stay calm. But if you can find a way to stay calm, it shows the child that even in bad situations, we can find a way to do it. So just staying calm for a moment. The children looked to the adults for reassurance. So make sure that you are calm. Do not discuss your anxieties with the children. When we say do not discuss your anxieties, you know, the things that you might feel, okay, this might happen in the future. No, you can discuss, yes, I'm a bit scared of it as well. I don't know, but maybe we can find a way through it together, but stay calm and work through with them. And then the next thing is to maintain routines as much as possible. This is a very big one, because if your mind is going through chaos, you don't want everything else to be chaotic around you. I'm one of those people, if I'm in a room and everything is everywhere, I can't focus, my mind can't focus. I have to put things away before my mind can focus. So just make sure that you are letting them know everything is still the same, everything's going to go on perfectly, so that they can know that there's a routine for them. And then help the children to enjoy themselves. We forget this all the time. Come on, we were all kids once, you know, just silly things like shaking around, dancing around the house, you know, giving little tickles, whatever it is. Just help your children to enjoy themselves, especially if they've forgotten how to. Just whatever they used to enjoy, reintroduce it. If they can't find anything, introduce more things. Just like we spoke about in the talents. Whatever it is, you know, sometimes I find this very silly, but I have to say it. Sometimes my children just enjoy saying silly words like poop, and they'll say it and they'll laugh. And sometimes I'll just say it as well, and they look at me like, really, mum, what are you doing? But it's just something to kind of just let them enjoy themselves. And then maybe if it gives it, and afterwards, usually when children are enjoying themselves, if anything else is going on, they're more kind of easy. It's easier for them to kind of say it to you or help it to come out. And then the next one is to kind of just share information about what happened, not in big ways, but, you know, like today, we just try to share little things to the children, even if it's just asking, you know, looking at a chart of feelings and saying, which one are you feeling? Looking at the emotional pie, just little information so that it helps them to kind of talk about it. Pick good times to talk, because as much as parents, you know, we're on a tight schedule, and we think, okay, the time I want to talk is the time that they want to talk. And today my daughter came home from school and she sat down and I said, oh, I want to talk to you today. And she's like, well, I'm not ready. Give me 10 minutes and then I may be ready. And I was like, okay. But you know, let them pick a good time to talk, because some of the times if you're trying to talk to them and their mind is somewhere else, just as, you know, sometimes your mind may be somewhere else, it's helpful for them to know, okay, maybe we're going to be talking in 10 minutes. Prevent or limit their exposure to the news coverage. And this is a very big one, because most of the times what we do is when we've been through something traumatic, the world looks horrible to us already. So then when we see, okay, more horrible things are happening, our mind just becomes, everything must be horrible because constant bad things are happening. But what we need to understand is it's not like that. So if you're limiting all of this bad news being fed into them, it's very helpful so they can kind of talk about what's happened, understand what's happened before they start kind of moving on to the next thing. And then the next one is kind of listen, and listen well. It's a very big one. Sometimes we know all the answers, we know everything that's going on. We want to tell people how they're feeling, but everyone feels different. Just take a little time to just sit down and listen to what the child is actually saying to you. Just make sure you're hearing everything. If you're not a very good listener, I'll teach you a skill. Put your tongue on on top of your what is it? Put your tongue at the top
palate,
of your mouth, yeah, and just hold it there. just hold it there as somebody is talking, and it just helps you to just stop for a moment, because you're focusing on just putting their tongue on the palate. Just let them say anything, just hold it there and let them say everything that they need to say. Okay, and then help your children to relax with breathing exercises. Breathing exercises are so wonderful. If you just Google breathing exercises, there's so many different types of breathing exercises. YouTube has done so many videos. Just keep giving your children those ones. And then the last one, acknowledge what your child is feeling. Be empathetic. We say this all the time. Just be empathetic. You know, imagine if this was you. How would you feel? What is going on for you? As much as you're imagining if this was you, you're not giving them your feelings. You're just imagining how you would feel in this situation. And then sometimes, like we've said, just know that it's okay to answer, I don't know. We don't have all the answers to everything. Even if your child says, I'm feeling really angry and whatever, something's really gone on for me, and you don't know the answer. Say you don't know, but we'll find the answer together. So it's always reassuring them, even if I don't know right now, we'll find the answer together. We'll find a way, just to kind of let you know what's going on and give you understanding. And then the last thing is just, if you've done all of these things and it's still difficult for the child, seek help. Auntie Sharon, do you want to talk about this?
Yeah, so I'll just go quickly. So there is help out there. There is a lot of help out there. You have your schools, your school counselors that your children can access, or you can maybe access, speak to the school about your concern. There's also Cornerstone Counselling Service. We do obviously work with children. We work with adults as well. So definitely, if there are any concerns, we are here to listen, and we are here to work with your children. There's also online counselling and wellbeing support for children and young people. So even though we do have obviously face-to-face counselling, there's also online counselling. Counselling has kind of expanded over the past few years. So you can actually have online counselling by just typing, as opposed to actually a face-to-face counselling. So there's also Child Bereavement UK, and they help children with the death of someone who is important in their lives. We also have the CAMS, NHS Choices CAMS, and they provide information on PTSD, complex PTSD, including local talk therapies, and also including local talk therapy services. So with CAMS, for example, they will see the child, but if they feel it's necessary to see the adult in terms of family therapy, that's also available as well, because often we know that if a trauma affects a child, it's not just the child that is affected, it's the whole family. And if there is a trauma, it's the whole family that is affected. So it's an opportunity for the family to come together and to talk about what's happening with the family and get that help that they need.
Thank you so much. We've come to the end of the presentation. Mums, dads, children, thank